What's up, everybody? You guys made it just in the nick of crime. Welcome to a very late episode where we're going to talk about the June 4th end of day recap for Sean Diddy Combs. If you missed the midday one, it wasn't that long. It was pretty good. All of these are always saved on the Sean Diddy Combs playlist that is on my YouTube. You can go back and watch them. So if you don't catch these live, you can always go to YouTube and find them there. Now, for everybody who is on my TikTok, please tap that screen. Let's get it to 10,000. That helps me out tremendously. I see my Insta folks coming in. We got Facebook coming in. And of course, obviously, we are live on YouTube. So again, if you missed that midday recap, go check it out because we're not going to really talk about a lot of that stuff today. I'll bring up little things here and there, but that's about it. And real quick update before we begin on all of this. Is Travis Decker, the guy who is responsible for the deaths of those three little girls. He is still out at large. If you missed this earlier today, he is still at large. FBI, Department of Homeland Security are looking for him. They say he could be now anywhere in the country. It sounds like they don't necessarily think that he is gone. But, you know, anyways, so just to let you guys know that real quick. The other things that I will tell you, if you are new here for the first time, I never ask you guys for gifts. I never ask for super chats. I never ask for subscriptions other than the free ones on YouTube. So please do me a solid. Hit that subscribe button or follow button, the free version of it. That is something that you can do. Costs you no money, but helps me out tremendously. So I'm going to ask you to do that. The last thing I want to address too, I saw somebody say it in here. So because a lot of you guys probably don't know this, especially the newer people. So my username is JustInTheNickOfCrime. And so a lot of people think that my name is Nick. It's actually Justin, which is the Justin part. So just so you guys know, in case y'all didn't. That being said, I don't care. You can call me. You can call me Nick. That's fine. You can call me Nick. I don't really care. I've been called worse. That being said, today we were supposed to have Jane take the stand. Jane is another pseudonym who is a victim of Diddy, the prosecution's third victim of Diddy. Instead, the government planned to call Enrique Santos, who they did not get a chance to call either, after the conclusion of Bryana Bongolan's testimony, who isn't quite finished, but she is in cross currently. Well, not currently, but, you know, today. And she'll be going into tomorrow morning, so we should see more. So, earlier, if you watched the midday recap, I said there was something weird that came up about possibly Diddy skinning a dog, right? I should have probably given y'all a trigger warning on that like I did earlier, but I didn't. Sorry. Anyways, a couple of things about Bryana. First, that you guys need to know, because we're going to talk about some of these things. She previously sued Sean Combs for $10 million in 2024, accusing him of battery and physical abuse. Remember, allegedly, he hung her over a 17-story balcony, which she's talked about earlier today, and she talks about again a little bit more. In her lawsuit, she alleges that Combs force-fed her ecstasy and during a photo shoot told her, "I'm the MFing devil, I could kill you." That's what he told her. She also, the lawsuit also recounted stories she heard while working with Combs, including alleged threat to blow up Kid Cudi's car after Cudi reportedly slept with Cassie. We know that that's true, allegedly true. And additionally, her complaint referenced a rumor that Diddy had once skinned a rival's dog, although Bongolan admitted she did not know whether or not that story was true. But honestly, it's alleged, it's a rumor. But with Diddy, I wouldn't be surprised. You know, my wife and I were talking about, I forget what the comment was. And we were like, I wouldn't be surprised if some weird stuff with animals came out with Diddy. That's all I'm going to say. Right. They guys are saying sorry for calling me. It's okay. Y'all are totally fine. Y'all didn't know. It's okay. That's why a lot of people don't know. I get it all the time. It's not just on Insta. It's on all platforms. So don't worry about it. I promise you it's not a big deal. Now that you know all of that, let's talk about Bryana a little bit more. Okay. So getting back into her testimony, she told the jury about, which we talked about this earlier, but she told the jury about a terrifying moment when Diddy dangled her allegedly over a 17-story balcony while screaming, "You know what the fuck you did. You know what the F you did." She says she doesn't know what she did, but he did that. She testified that the incident happened in September of 2016 while she was staying at the LA apartment of Cassie. On the night of the assault, she was asleep on the couch and with her ex-girlfriend while Cassie was in her bedroom. She was awakened by a loud banging at the front door. It was Sean Combs. Bongolan said she quickly took her ex-girlfriend to hide in the guest bathroom, explaining on the stand, "I didn't want to expose her to the things that I see." Trying to appear casual, she then stepped out onto the balcony with a joint. She either lit it or was about to light it when Combs suddenly came out to the balcony behind her. He basically came up from behind me. He lifted me up and had me on top of the rail. Bongolan, who's 5 feet tall and weighed about 100 pounds at the time, described how Diddy grabbed her by the chest, then held her by her armpits with her feet dangling over the railing. As he dangled her above the drop, he repeatedly screamed, "Do you know what the F you did?" And she said she had no idea what he was referring to and responded, "I don't know what the F I did." After about 10 or 15 seconds of being held over the edge, Combs threw her onto the balcony furniture. She said she initially didn't feel the extent of her injuries because of the adrenaline. And as she was falling, she heard Cassie's voice. Cassie had come out of her bedroom in disbelief and asked Diddy, "Did you just hang her over the balcony?" Afterwards, Cassie and Diddy began talking. Bongolan overheard them mention her girlfriend being in the apartment. Combs soon left. She said that she was shaking a lot. She returned to her own apartment afterward, where she noticed a large bruise with a piercing in the middle of it on her leg, as well as a neck and back pain. Jurors were shown a photo of her bruised legs taken after the assault, as well as another image of her neck and back appearing reddened and covered in bandages. The neck and back photo, she explained, had been taken by her ex-girlfriend using an iPhone because she couldn't airdrop the image later. The version shown in court was a photo of the iPhone screen displaying the original picture. Bongolan said she told her managers about the balcony incidents. One advised her to see a chiropractor if she was too scared to take further action. She did see a chiropractor that same day, but did not tell them who had caused the injuries. She also didn't seek additional medical treatment because the substances in her system were numbing her pain. Bongolan never admitted that she never reported the incident to the police, explaining that she was too scared. Then, a day or two later, Sean Combs went on damage control. Either he himself or one of his security guards FaceTimed her. She said, "I remember saying a couple times, 'I don't want any problems with you.'" She described Combs' behavior during the call. He didn't say much, but kept putting his hands over his head, breathing heavily, and alternating between looking away from the camera and looking back. She added that she did see Combs again after the balcony assault and said they both tried to be cool in subsequent interactions. She talked about how she testified that she spoke to Cassie after Cassie filed her lawsuit against Diddy in 2023. She told Cassie that there were a few inaccuracies in the way the balcony incident was described in Cassie's lawsuit, specifically that it did not happen in a hotel and that Cassie had the date wrong. When asked in court if she experiences any lasting effects from the incident with Diddy, she said yes. She testified that she still suffers from nightmares. She wakes up screaming, lots of paranoia. But it's dissipated a little bit, she said, and she clarified that she did not experience those symptoms prior to the incident. She also testified that she hired an attorney, Tyrone Blackburn, in January of 24, and that Blackburn made a monetary demand to Combs in relation to the balcony assault. However, Bongolan said she ultimately fired Blackburn after discovering that he had included incorrect information in the monetary demand paperwork. So good for her, wanting to keep things accurate and firing those who made it inaccurate. She also then testified about the last time she saw him or spent time with him and Cassie, and that was around New Year's Eve in 2018. She told the jury that she joined Cassie and Diddy at the penthouse suite at the one hotel in Miami to celebrate New Year's. During the gathering, Bongolan said they used ketamine for about 8 hours. After leaving the hotel, she said that she made the decision that she should no longer use substances, and as a symbol of her commitment to sobriety, she tattooed the date of that on her neck. It was a commitment to get sober and not go back. She also said she wasn't able to achieve sobriety immediately, but now she is. Following the day in Miami, she testified that her relationship with Ventura became sporadic. Now, from there, we got cross-examination, and they began questioning Bryana, and they were a little bit harsh with her, as they kind of were with me, and they'll probably be with Jane. The only one they weren't really harsh with at this point, with the longer testimonies, has been Cassie. They were pretty empathetic with her. That said, they began questioning her about, because she's a designer as well. She's a fashion designer as well, about why her women's wear collaboration with Cassie and Diamond Supply Company ultimately did not succeed. And if you want to know the background on that story, it's in the midday recap. It didn't work because you were competing against people like Beyonce and Rihanna. That's what the defense asked. She said yes. Then I'm going to show you guys this photo here. I think this one should be, this one's cool. This is, I like the sketch artist that we have now is great. I showed sketches on the other one. I'm sketching sketches on this one. Again, if you're on TikTok, you can't see the sketches, so you can jump over if you want. But yeah, this is another one. I like this. I think that they have a new sketch artist because it's been a lot better, I think. She also testified that she and Cassie frequently partied and used substances together. She recounted the first time she ever spent the night at Cassie's home. Cassie asked her if she'd like to get high. Bongolan said she answered yes, and they did that together on that night. From that point on, she confirmed that she and Cassie spent most of their time together getting high. Then the defense begins to try to discredit her over that substance usage. And during the afternoon cross, attorney Nicole Westmoreland aggressively questioned Bryana about her substance use in an effort to undermine her credibility. Remember, that's what their job is. So Westmoreland specifically pressed Bongolan about which substances she was on the day of the alleged 2016 balcony assault. She said, "Didn't you tell the government that you were high on Molly, GHB, and the white sniffy stuff on the day of the incident?" Talking about that September 16 assault. And she said, "That's a lot of substances. I didn't do those, not on that night." And she also questioned whether Bongolan recalled giving conflicting accounts about the balcony incident during prior interviews with prosecutors. And she said she did not recall making any inconsistent statements. Bear in mind, by the way, she is also testifying under immunity, for those of you who might not know that. She continued to probe Bongolan and about her and Cassie's overall substance usage. She asked how she felt when using substances like the green leafy stuff, the white sniffy stuff, ketamine, G, and acid. I'm going to tell y'all, I don't even know what G is. Can somebody drop that in the comments? Like, what the hell is G? It's something that I should be thinking. What is it? I'm looking at all y'all. I'm looking at all y'all right now. What is G? Somebody out here knows. It's not, it wouldn't be G. It's not GHB, is it? Is it? Is that what we're talking about? GHB? Okay. All right. GHB, guys. All right. I've never heard it called that. Oh, Molly G. Yeah. Okay. GHB. Gotcha. All right. Thank you guys for that. She was also probed about her and Cassie's overall substance usage. She asked how, she also talked about, sorry, getting ahead. Oh yeah. She then testified that they partied a lot together and acknowledged that she regularly sold substances to Cassie. She said, "You would agree with me that you and Cassie had a serious substance problem." Yeah, we had a problem. She recalled on one occasion where she provided Cassie with so many pills that it scared her. She acknowledged that she and Cassie were using substances together even before she had met Diddy. She also talked about that she first met Sean sometime around 2016 during a dinner at his house. She said that she attended the dinner as a friend of Cassie. Cassie basically insisted. She actually didn't want to meet him because of everything she had seen. She had seen Cassie with a black eye. She had seen a bunch of stuff, and she just really didn't want to, but she did it because Cassie asked her to. She confirmed that Combs was very standoffish towards her during that first meeting. And I'm going to come back to this in about 2 seconds. She also testified that she remains friends with Cassie as well as celebrity stylist Deontay Nash, who was testified last week. His testimony, he was pretty funny, not going to lie. And some of the things that he said, he had his little quips, right? She said that she has spoken with both Ventura and Nash since the trial began, but confirmed they have not discussed their respective testimony. She also further testified that she hired a lawyer to sue Combs and acknowledged that attorneys she has hired have acted on her behalf. Now, before I go to this next part real quick, because we're going to talk about a knife incident, I want to kind of just point something out that if you guys haven't caught it, because it's kind of subtle, but not so subtle at the same time. So he comes over mad, holds her over balcony. You know what she did. This is somebody that Cassie is spending a lot of time with. Then she comes over and finally meets him. He's standoffish. He doesn't like her. When you are somebody who is abusive, controlling, you're trying to isolate the person in your life so that you have total control of them. You don't like their friends. Whether the friends have done something or not, you don't like them. It's one of those control factors to try to get them to go away. We've had this discussion before. Rose Davis has talked about this when we've talked about Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. We've talked about it in this situation when you're dealing with abusive people. And if you've been in an abusive relationship, you know this. You know that they try to isolate you because they don't want you, number one, talking about them. And number two, they want to keep you for yourself and have that control. So just something that in case y'all didn't see or catch that, wanted to make sure that y'all were aware of that. Now, that being said, let's talk about the knife incident real quick. So this is defenses. So let me tell you kind of what this is about. I can't remember if I put in my notes again the story, but basically, she talks about a time where she walks in, right? Like how she's sleeping, she's staying there, right? Trying to remember the exact details of it. She's staying there. Loud banging at the door at night. She comes out of the room in time. Cassie's standing there talking to Diddy or yelling. They're having an argument. And Diddy literally throws a knife at Cassie, missing her by like just a few inches, right? And the Cassie picks up the knife and throws it back at him. Okay. So that's like I get that the beating is severe. She's lucky to be alive. Cassie and a lot of these women are lucky to be alive, right? But throwing literal knives, guys, literal knives. So now that you know that story, let's talk about the defense doing cross on that. So she challenged Bryana's account of seeing Sean throw a knife at Cassie, suggesting that she might not actually remember the incident clearly. The defense referenced notes from Bongolan's prior interview with prosecutors, which indicated that Bongolan had told them Cassie and Diddy would sometimes get into knife fights. Bongolan testified that she did not recall making that statement to prosecutors, and she said she stands by the memory she testified to in court today. She added that she does not know how or where Combs got the knife that he allegedly threw at her. Earlier in the day, she testified that during one occasion she was staying at Ventura's apartment. She said that Cassie, I get to put it in here. Cassie and her were awakened by Combs entering the apartment. Once inside, she said he threw a knife in Cassie's direction. She said that she did not call the police after the incident because she was just scared of Puff. Being scared of Puff is a common thing, right? Defense also says that Bongolan didn't. Basically, they're suggesting that during the first meeting with prosecutors, Bongolan did not mention that Diddy had once told her that I could kill you. Bongolan testified that she could not remember when she first told the government about that statement. And defense further suggested that Bongolan had later told prosecutors that this comment occurred at a party, not at a photo shoot. She said she did not remember whether she had said that. The defense also pointed out that the first demand letter from Bongolan's attorney alleged that Combs made the I could kill you statement while she was hanging over the balcony. Bongolan testified that those were not her words. Those were two different incidents, that the two incidents did not happen at the same time. And she fired that attorney after realizing that error later. Here's the thing about this. Like, I get what defense is doing their job, right? They're trying to poke holes in her story, show that she's not a reliable witness, shows that she's inconsistent. Guys, we're talking about 10 years ago in some of these cases or longer. Like, I don't remember what I did this morning, much less 10 years ago. I mean, if something really traumatic happens, but here's the thing about trauma too. You might remember the event, but you might not remember the circumstances surrounding the event. So you might be like, okay, I know that this happened to me, but I don't remember this. Like, I go back to my childhood, and I'm sure if you experienced a lot of trauma in your childhood, you probably know what I'm talking about when I say this. But I have large like gaps where it's like I have nothing, like years where I don't know anything. But there'll be one or two little instances that will poke out, and like I'll remember the abuse in that situation and the things that happened to me, but I won't necessarily remember the dates or necessarily even the specific age I was when it happened, just the event itself. So for some of these people, we're going back like 10 years. And then if you do remember, like somebody just said, like Susie just said on Instagram, that you do remember a lot, but as time passes, you definitely can't remember everything, right? So somebody's coming in asking about your question real quick. So I've had a couple people come in, so I'll pause and say this. If you're coming in late to this, these are recorded on YouTube. So you can go back to the Sean Diddy Combs playlist and you can watch it there if you're coming in late, being like, hey, what did I miss? What we're doing right now is the Diddy end of day recap. The midday recap was done earlier today. So those are there on that playlist for anybody who wants to watch it. So that being said, Bongolan told the jury that she is seeking $10 million in her lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs. She testified, I filed the lawsuit because I wanted to seek justice for what happened to me. She clarified that she is not expecting any money as a result of her testimony in this criminal trial, that she is not being paid for testifying in this criminal trial. Although, just so you guys are aware, If he is found guilty, all of those civil suits all of a sudden have a lot more weight to them, just so you're aware. She then confirmed that she spoke to Cassie both before and after Cassie filed her lawsuit against Combs back in November of 23. She testified that Cassie asked her to be named in connection with the balcony incident in Ventura's lawsuit, but Bongolan said that she refused that request. She further testified that she did not tell any of her friends about her own lawsuit. She then testified that in early 24, a music producer named Rob Holiday contacted her. She explained that Holiday had been one of her best friends for a long time and was also friends with Sean Combs. According to Bongolan, Holiday called her on FaceTime and appeared to be in Combs' backyards in Beverly Hills during the call. She testified that Holiday told her that he was calling her on behalf of Combs, who was authorized to talk about settling with me. Bongolan confirmed that about a month or two after this conversation with Holiday, her current attorney helped her file a lawsuit against Combs. She also testified that she was no longer friends with Holiday. So think about this. Think about this. When Cassie filed that lawsuit against Sean Combs, he went on the offense on damage control, reaching out to anybody and everybody, right? And I think depending on how you look at this, that could almost be considered obstruction. Although at that point he didn't have any charges, but he was expecting charges, and so it seems. If that doesn't tell you anything, it seems that while he didn't know probably what charges were coming for him, he knew that something was coming from him. He knew that he did something wrong, and he was on the offense trying to get people to not talk about this, settle with them, whatever the case was. Again, guys, Cassie gave him the opportunity to settle, to purchase the rights to the book that she wrote, and he laughed it off, and she filed the lawsuit as a result of that. Had he paid her off, then none of this would be happening to him. None of this. His arrogance and his ego got him in this situation. And I'm not saying that, and that's really oversimplifying it, because honestly, his decades of action got him into this situation, but he could have continued hiding it longer had he just coughed up the money to Cassie for the abuse that he put her through. And I'm going to tell you this, she deserves every bit of the money she gets from him. What she's endured, if she endured 25% of what we have seen, she deserves every penny of it. That being said, though, so from here, and don't go yet because I have more to say, court adjourns for the day. Okay. Her direct testimony and concluded cross-examination by defense attorney Nicole Westmoreland began. Westmoreland indicated that tomorrow she's got about 30 more minutes to an hour of cross left, and then we get the next witness. Jane could be later that day. Now, jury was dismissed around 4 p.m. local time. The jury trial wrapping up in the middle of Bongolan's testimony. She'll continue testifying when court resumes on Thursday morning, tomorrow. And Sean's attorney, Nicole Westmoreland, is scheduled to finish her cross when the trial resumes with a later start time of 11 a.m. So the trial starting a little bit later tomorrow. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to. All right, so I'm trying to TikTok give me violation things real quick. So sorry. So that's going to happen. Now, that being said, I want to close with this, because this part is really, this is what we've heard from Bryana Bongolan today is really important to understand. And this is where I'm going to talk to you about, because everybody's wondering, where's RICO? Where is the RICO situation in this? Okay. I'm going to tell you right now. So, in my opinion, Bryana Bongolan's testimony today, similar to Mia's, was absolutely shocking and incredibly damning, not just for how disturbing it was, but for what it means legally. See, throughout this trial, Diddy's defense has tried to frame this story as this was just a toxic relationship between Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura. It was bad, but it was a private domestic situation, not a criminal enterprise. And nobody's arguing, even his own team isn't arguing that he is a domestic abuser. No one is arguing that. What they are arguing was that this doesn't constitute RICO, right? This doesn't constitute racketeering. This doesn't constitute trafficking. That's what defense is trying to say and trying to prove. Nobody's arguing about the domestic violence. So a lot of people look at this and say, well, I don't see how this is RICO because this is domestic violence, right? But here's the problem with that narrative, guys. So Bongolan wasn't Diddy's partner. She was Cassie's friend. She wasn't romantically involved with him. And yet, according to her testimony, she didn't even work for him. But Diddy violently abused her too. At one point, dangling her over a 17-story balcony. And that's important. because one of the key charges here is RICO, is racketeering. And to prove RICO, prosecutors have to show that this wasn't just about isolated incidents or one bad relationship. They have to prove that Diddy was running an ongoing criminal enterprise, a pattern of behavior, keyword, a pattern of behavior, right, that involved threats, violence, coercion, and abuse of power over a period of years that impacted multiple people. Okay. Bryana Bongolan's story supports that. It shows that this kind of violence wasn't just happening inside Diddy's personal relationship. It was allegedly happening to people around him, people who were just part of the larger circle. Because remember, she wasn't his friend. She was Cassie's friend. But he still was abusive and violent towards her, right? It was happening to people around him. And this builds a picture, helps build that picture of a corrupt, abusive enterprise, not just that of a bad breakup. So in my view, in my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer, but in my opinion, today's testimony was a major moment for the prosecution. Between this one and Mia, it's been huge. It gave them exactly the kind of pattern and reach they need to support a RICO charge. Now we'll have to see how that jury takes it. Now, the other thing I'm going to say to this is, remember, Bryana is part of that outer circle that, she's adjacent to him. She's friends with Cassie, not friends with him. So it's adjacent, right? We heard from Mia, who was his assistant. She wasn't romantically involved with him, right? She was his assistant. You heard Cassie, who was romantically involved with him. You've heard from Capricorn Clark, who was his assistant. So you now are seeing the personal, private relationships, the romantic relationships, intimate relationships. Maybe romantic's a bad word. Intimate relationships. You're seeing the way he abused his employees, specifically female employees. And now you're seeing how other people were abused who were even further out of that circle. All right. That's what we're looking at here. And I think I hate to use the term excited. Maybe interested is a better word, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing what Jane has to say when she hopefully takes the stand tomorrow. And it sounds like she's going to be on the stand for a while, probably similarly to that of Mia. And I believe that she was a romantic partner. We don't know how. We have a little bit of information, not a ton, but this is, like I said, this is an 8-week case, guys. We are nearing the end of week 4, meaning we have 3 weeks left. And when everybody was at the beginning of this talking about Cassie, like, this is DV, when are they going to get to it? It takes time to argue a case. This is a case that is far-reaching and spans decades and spans multiple people. And you're dealing with high-powered people at that. So it takes time for it to come out, but you are really starting to see those building blocks now. And I think it's going to continue to go that way. And every time somebody like Bryana or a Mia or a Cassie or a Capricorn Clark, somebody even closer to that circle or closer to the people who are close to that circle come in, you're really seeing all of these very, we'll call them interesting yet disturbing stories. Because you look at the guy, I cannot remember his name at the moment, who was his COO or CFO. He didn't experience any abuse, didn't see anything. The way that John Diddy Combs treated female employees in a vast majority of females in his orbit, women in his orbit, is vastly different than the way he treated the males in his orbit. And we keep seeing that over and over again. So that being said, this is what we have. This is where we're at. And that's going to do it for today's coverage. Now, again, I'll be back tomorrow with more updates. So make sure you're following, you're subscribed, and you have those notifications on. You do not want to miss what's coming next. I'm telling you, you don't want to miss it. We've still got a lot to unpack in this case. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today, and we'll be back here tomorrow. And lastly, if you did come in late and you missed this, you can come in and go to the Sean Diddy Combs list on my YouTube and watch this. Somebody asked real quick, where can I watch this trial? You cannot. Federal trials are not televised. They are not recorded. There's no audio recording. There's no still cameras. There is no video recording. It has been that way since the 1940s for the Lindbergh case. Very interesting story, but I will not bore you with the details of it. But since the 1940s with the Lindbergh case, the Supreme Court made the decision, and now federal courts can only have a sketch artist. That's what you get. Do I think that it's the way it should be? No. Do I think that we should revisit that some 80 years later? Yeah, but we haven't. So that said, guys, I will see y'all tomorrow. Have a great night.